Welcome to the Momentum webinar series, where we ask expert facilitators to weigh in on topics that help advance women in leadership. I'm excited too to have Jenny Lewis. Jenny serves as a coach for our executive classes and does one-on-one coaching in across the country. Really, you have clients all over, don't you, Jenny?
Yeah.
And we were kind of brainstorming last month in our office about topics that might be of interest during the month of April. And we got to talking about money, and we got to talking about taxes. We got to talking about how uncomfortable women can sometimes be around money and sort of get tied up in their heads of that their own self-worth has to do with, how much money they make or how much they're able to save or some of these kinds of things. So we wanted to explore that topic further. So welcome, Jenny. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. It's great. It's really great working with Momentum, and it's really special for me to be here and talk to all of these new people because I'll introduce myself to you. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. And from that story, we'll see that I am really sharing my life's journey in this webinar, and it's what I do in my coaching as well. So I grew up in New Orleans, a little bit in Birmingham as well. And my career was in New York as an attorney. That I felt like it was something that fueled me. It was something that I enjoyed. And also it was in a way of being something that I thought was important, being something that I thought would bring in a lot of money in a certain way in order to keep me safe and comfortable and doing all the right things. And then at some point, after 17 years ago, it all started to fall apart. And I really had to look within and figure out who I was. Like, there is a component of me that does love legal things. It loves balance and equity and amends. And there's so much more. There's so much more. I wouldn't have recognized or even known if I hadn't looked within and figured out what my true worth was. I could have gone on sort of robotically in that way. And so what I did was I continued to work on myself in the law firm because I knew that that was going to bring me the lessons I needed to learn in order to find my next step. And then eventually I retired and moved to Los Angeles in Northern California for a while to do deep internal work until I heard the call to come home, the need for actually me to learn a lot by coming home and being myself here in a way that I hadn't even known was possible before, because standing in yourself in your home is what is sort of the biggest game. The places where you learned all the ways you should be and actually stand in what you are. And how this turns into money is because I've learned that money is very much tied to what my expectations of life are. And that I learned at a very young age. And so in order to unwind my ideas of worth and self and money, I am in the process of doing some deep excavation of where they came from and what is actually true. And so I wanted to do this webinar and share that with you so you could begin that exploration for yourself as well. And so now we'll begin with the first official slide. And I will ask you some questions. This is going to be very interactive. I want you to use the chat. I want you to come off mute and share with me what you believe it means to be a woman culturally. Let's talk about just the external first and explore what is it you hear? What is it you believe from the news, from whatever external sources a woman is? And you can be the first. It's okay. I'm going to enjoy whatever you say. It's going to be helpful. A nurturer, a beautiful creation, nurturing. Yeah. Anybody else? A caregiver, strong, powerful, all things to everyone. Good. Capable of anything, a mother, encourager, organizer, peacemaker, emotional, right? Innovator. We'll take a couple more. And we're going to discuss this more, so this won't be your last. A nurturer equipped. Yeah. There's also capable of anything, which seems unrealistic as a comment that we got. All right. So there's woman. There's this idea of woman. It's someone who can do anything, who's a nurturer, who is sometimes emotional. Let's explore the next topic. We're just laying the foundation for our exploration here. What is worth? What makes you worthy? Or what is the idea, the concept of worth? You can put it in the chat or you can come off mute, whichever you choose. Title, status, salary, being loved. And these we're talking about like cultural. So the messages that you might have received from external. This is worth, value. Yeah. Anyone else? Women seem to be a lot easier. Worth is a little more kind of esoteric, I believe. Worth, as I see it from the external, is like, oh, we got some more. When I think about worth from the external, it's like, can I show up to my family reunion or my high school reunion? Like, and what are the things that I might be measured by? You know, those rom-com movies where you have to borrow a boy or whatever it is in order to be worthy. Yeah, you guys got it. 2.5 children, feeling like having a purpose. I believe my worth is defined by things that make me happy and feel fulfilled. We're going to get to your personal next slide. We're going to do cultural on this one, but I like that a lot. Refrigerator kudos, feeling from life, knowing the strength in your capabilities and your weaknesses. Image, title, status, spouse, kids, salary, appearances also, yeah. And so now let's explore from this cultural perspective, what is wealth? What is wealth? So we've got from worth, this idea of external sort of measurements. Some people added in their personal ideas like refrigerator kudos, which is I think that's a really interesting one. What is wealth? Peace. Yeah, peace. What is the external idea of wealth? Maybe cars or houses or material things. Time to focus, freedom. Yeah, freedom. Joy. Yeah. From a cultural perspective, having the latest and greatest material things. Yeah, there really is that, I think. Right. I think we're complete on wealth. So of course, the next slide. And I did this intentionally this way for us to look externally. It's important in doing internal work to understand what's the difference between what's coming from outside of you and what's actually inside. And then we're going to take it a step deeper. So let's explore these three for yourself. So now I want you to take a moment, actually sit in your chairs and breathe into yourself And sort of feel your hips, feel your body. This gets into yourself here. Feel yourself breathing. Feel the circulation of your blood, like what's keeping you warm. Can you feel your heartbeat? Can you feel your lungs expand? And you notice the difference of how you felt before you did this and now after doing this. You're really coming into yourself, into your center here, right? Knowing what that is, feeling your intuition. And now from this place, let's explore these questions again. What is woman? I can see that there are women on this call. So what does it mean for you to be woman? Those are the answers we want here. Like really and truly. A blessing. Capable. Why is it a blessing? Yeah, keep typing. What is woman? Even in the stuck spots. Here we go. Strong, capable, creator. Birther, giver of life, giver of love, strength, love, strong, resilient creator. I want you to tie these to ways that you are actually being in the world, different from your mind. I am woman, strong, resilient creator, connector. Things that you did today or showed up as, maybe just in your presence, as woman. You might not have even thought of it before this moment. We have the ability to bring new life into the world. We have different perspectives than men. We are creative and resilient. That's good. And so it's like, today I brought a different perspective, you know. There is a difference between the mind idea of self and the who you actually are that I want us to get to here today. Organized, positive. I am positivity. I am light. I am showing up as I am, confident, loving, worthy of all things desired. Right. And that showed up today as being a woman is such a powerful role that encompasses so many aspects of life. I believe it is truly a calling. Yes. And your ability to be in that calling. What is it you did today as woman? I went out to my garden. I stretched. I shared a message today. I felt into my body and appreciated her today. I fed her well, you know. I gave advice to someone. I just listened. I made a creation today. I was with my kids today. These are the real things of what it means to be a woman beyond the ideas. And you can see how many levels we have to come in to find you, the unique you. That is so different from what we're taught externally actually matters. Your uniqueness, your value. I lead and support connect women. I am keeping a crazy family life organized and mostly on the rails. Yeah, that's it. I am powerful, assertive, kind, vulnerable with loved ones, able to push through adversity. Yeah, you're getting to who you are, woman, right? It's not an idea. It is what you do every day, who you are. Can't help it. It matters. I lead, support, and connect women. I am keeping, I just read that one. Good. Okay. So we got woman. You can feel that in your bones, in your body, always with you. I connect to other women. I lead with a spirit of love. Yeah, you do. Next question. What is worth? What is worth from this centered woman perspective? What is worth? What matters to you? A sense of belonging. Yeah, like I matter, right? You give that to yourself. The understanding that you matter, being appreciated. You give that to yourself, that you matter. That's the brilliance and trickery of what I'm doing here. We're going from out to in, and you can feel it. Yeah. Something I am constantly recentering myself on. Exactly. Inherent value to self, community, creator. Right. Good. I want you to breathe into that feeling. Being okay with not being everything for everyone and knowing I still deserve. Good. For those of you just joining, oh yeah, I'm just asking questions. First, from the perspective of outside world expectations of women. And now we're assessing how we feel about ourselves. I can't see you joining, so thank you for that tip. So yeah, we looked at woman, worth, and wealth from the external ideas of self, of who you are and measurements of that. And now we've done a little meditation and brought it all the way in. Who are we? Who am I? How am I, woman? How am I worthy? And of course, the third question here is, what is wealth? Some of these answers we got in the external, but from this place of knowing and feeling yourself, what is wealth? Health. Just breathe into it. When do you feel wealthy? And what does that actually mean? I'm healthy physically and emotionally. Connection. Yeah. Strong community. Yeah. Just feel into the last time you felt truly wealthy. Is it simply a connection to self? Is it a connection to others? Is it about anything around you at all? Or is it something different? When you tune into you, your body, your knowing. When my child feels seen, heard, and comforted. Yeah. When you feel that way too. Health, joy, connection to the divine, belonging to community, freedom. Yeah, these are great. All right, so I want you to hold that feeling. Keep it with you. I want everyone, when I am connected to my faith, my family, and my purpose, I want everyone to write down 3 words right now for the feeling you have in your body. This centered feeling might be uncomfortable. What does it feel like to be centered, connected to self and yourself? I'll give you a couple of seconds more. Just breathe, it might help. Bring you clarity. Now we're going to move to next slide, next exercise. Keeping this feeling, fulfillment, peace, joy. Joy, peaceful, whole. Nice. So where are the differences between the external and the internal, and why? This one you could get into your head about, and I don't want you to. Here's what I want you to do here. I'll give you an example. There are ways that I can say, I've been working on some big projects, let's say, for instance, and I've been wanting some big projects for a while. But there are times, so I could tell you, oh, I really want this big project. I want to do da 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 da. And then when and some of that is safety, and some of that is external, but deeply in my soul, it's true. And yet, when I sit down to do them, sometimes I get really distracted. So there's a part of me that is not fully in tune to it, needs something first before I can do that. Maybe I need to eat well. Maybe I need to call a friend of mine. Maybe I need to go to the gym or take a walk. And then I really have to get in touch with, like, why do I want this? So that's where I want you to go from the place of the idea of wanting something or who you are into what's actually true. It's almost like I want to eat more vegetables, but I really just eat a lot of chocolate, So maybe I just need a lot of chocolate right now until I'm done with that. I have a lot of permission for those things, because I believe that the more in tune you are with yourself, the more aligned you get. So you'll still have chocolate, but you'll also might want vegetables eventually. The getting there comes from understanding exactly where you are right now and accepting that. I just really like chocolate right now. If I come from a place of I shouldn't, and I suppress that desire to eat chocolate all the time, then with everything I'm doing, I'm carrying around this suppression of chocolate because I'm denying it. Even if all I do is turn toward it, it releases the energy of suppression. Maybe I have chocolate, and then I can center. It's a simple example, but you can see how the tiny suppressions of self and voices of self take a lot of your energy and alignment and alignment. So where are the mismatches? It's only in the acceptance and the truth of now that the present is okay. That change might happen, that opening can come. Because it's true. Anything else is imaginary. Anything else takes too much energy. I want to check in and make sure that landed for people. Can you all give me a little text or come off mute and say what's coming up for you there, what you're seeing in yourself, or if you have any questions? Honesty, connectedness, being centered. Yeah. What does that mean? And what are you all, where are the places and maybe that's it. It's like connectedness, honesty, and being centered. But I want to make sure that's landing the places between where you thought you were and what is actually true. Okay. There are no questions, so I'm not going to assume that landed totally. I'm going to give one more example before we move to the next thing. So it's, if life is a journey and we're coming into ourself, and if coming into ourself brings us true womanhood, true wealth, and true worthiness, then actually being where you are right now is the only way through. Anything skipping ahead or anything suppressing what's actually happening isn't you. And so it's important to always come back to yourself and have approval right there, because it's only from there that you can be true to yourself. Right? I can, and I used to, sorry, I went backwards. I can, and I used to do triathlons, and marathons were less interesting, but I'd always put myself on this path of regimen. And I'm not against that at all, but I'm just saying I was kind of dragging myself through. And what I had to do first was look at the places where I was dragging myself and pause and really give myself rest and figure out what I like to eat and what I like to do. And then tune into myself. And now I'm coming from a place of, okay, I really do and always have loved yoga. I can do that. I really do. My body really does like to run, and I can do that. But it doesn't have to be so extreme. And slowly, I will come into more understanding of who I am. But this is about trusting that that expression is actually worthwhile. That I don't have to be a triathlete, that I can actually trust what I can do as meaningful and needed and true, regardless of what someone might tell me when they come up and say, you should do a triathlon. And if I can stand in the face of that and understand what I really want to do, then that's what it means to be true to myself, to understand my worth. And that comes from being resourced, well-resourced and knowledged and understanding myself and centered. So if you have comments there, I'd love to hear them. And I'm going to move to the next slide.
So Jenny,
yeah,
what you mentioned, I like that last comment a bit about honesty and connectedness, because go back to the slide you just put up. For some reason, I can't see it.
Yeah. Can you see?
I see the full screen of April.
Oh.
It might just be my computer, but
yeah, I don't see.
I think there's a fear of, I mean, and you said it, I mean, it's being honest, right? It's being honest about that state that will allow you to be your, that complete person. However, I mean, in a working world and in a world where you're nurturing and your mom and your all these things, everything, there's a sense of selfishness, right? When you start to focus on these things. And so maybe you'll talk a little bit about that, but it's like getting to that ideal state, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of things tugging at us, but to untug those things would be getting rid of a whole lot of responsibilities, if you will. And I think that's the struggle that we have as women. That's part of it, right? At least for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's true. I think what I am pointing to, and I think you all are getting this. This is a journey, right? This is not blow up your life in a day. This is a directional coming back to self. It's important because continuing on a road, if you are, you may not, from the answers you gave, my sense is you all are into yourselves and caring for yourselves. And you're here because you're curious about how to do more of that, right? So what I want you to take from this is directionally what more is needed now in this moment, right? Because it's easy to focus on all of the responsibilities, the external, who's coming to you, who's asking for this, what's required in the moment, right? And you forget yourself. You could forget yourself for weeks. You could forget yourself for years. But this is a coming back to, I want you to have a marked center point to come back to in those every day. And if nothing else, in those places of depletion, like, why am I here? What's going on? You know, who am I? Woman, wealth, worth. Who am I? You know, and I want you, the next thing we're going to do is figure out what's the piece of you that has you feel you need to continue to give out way past your resources. Who told you that? You know, why did they tell you that? Why were they told that by their own mothers? You know, you go back and you go back and you go back, and you can keep running in the same direction and then wonder why, but pause. That's where the change is. Pause. Let's do it differently. Let's come in and figure out what's really going on here and how can we shift this? You know, so we're not a room full of depleted women anymore. That's what this is about.
Jenny, can I bring up something that we see, I think, a lot in the momentum classes? Because we are usually dealing with women who are very driven, very ambitious, high achievers. Oftentimes they have a spouse, either they may not have a spouse, or they have a spouse who is not really the primary breadwinner of the relationship. And I think something that comes up around the idea of wealth is, along with all of this independence and autonomy that you get when you are that achiever, you also don't have the same level of co-security that you see some of your other women friends have. Does this resonate with other people? And there's this sort of feeling like it's up to you to provide the entire nest egg,
right,
of safety net for yourself, your children, and sometimes also your spouse, and sometimes your parents.
Yeah.
Financially.
Yeah.
Not to mention emotionally, not to mention keeping it organized and connected and nurtured.
Yes. And herein lies the rub, right? I remember this, you know, this place, and I think all that you're saying is true, right? I'm laying down a new idea of what is possible. And so it's not about dropping all your kids, your family, and your parents and all the things, right? It's about beginning to shake it up in such a way that you are not carrying this Atlas load for the rest of your life. And how can you do that? For me personally, I didn't have all of those things. So I was able to really go, I was just like, okay, enough. I can go into and figure out who am I and how do I want to shift my entire world. And that as an option requires women who are holding families and breadwinners to move slowly, to find resources carefully, to find community, to find support, so that you begin, you're turning, it's like you're turning a giant freighter, right? That thing is not going to turn on a dime and shouldn't. But if you directionally, the thing that I said, turn slowly, you will find your way out. That is what it's important to know. And in doing so, the others in your life will slowly begin to find their resources as well. You will lead them the way out. It's almost impossible to believe, because this is this construct of the world we live in. And I can tell you, there is so much more beyond the little box of reality that we are taught exists. And you are capable, just as you said, you are a creator, of reaching out and beyond the realm of what you believe is true. My guess is you've done it many times already in your life. It's how you got here. And so this route, this path that you have created for yourself so beautifully, perhaps consider what else is possible for you, right? Enter a new reality beyond what you know. Take it slow. You've got this center, you've got these 3 words, right? And so I want to make sure there's no other questions, because this is the perfect place to go into this next slide. What stories come up for you here? Why am I full of crap right now? Write it down. Write it down. Go into it. You know, this place where you might have frustration or emotion or feel overwhelmed about this potential change, or the frustration of what is or what feels like your reality, which is, it's like being in the moment of what, and accepting what is true, that all of this responsibility is there and there's more. So give it some time, give it some attention. It's important, because running over it, ignoring it, or ignoring what I'm saying, misses what's actually happening, misses what you are feeling right now in this moment that wants attention, and that will allow you to open up something new, because it will play in the background. Let's give it some time. Let's give it some space. It might have some answers for you. I like to look at ancient cultures because it gets me out of seeing the world in one way. And African cultures believe emotion, frustration, these things, they are meant to be felt because they let something out in order for something new to come in. We see it very differently, but you can imagine holding back emotion, if that's true, it's just holding us in a structure of stasis. So let's move that. I'm going to give you 5 minutes right now just to write on whatever is coming up from you, for you. Let that move through. See how that feels. To be with it. Notice you have any resistance. Let's do it now. Notice if this quiet is uncomfortable. You have 1 minute left. And that's time. I want you to just take a breath, breathe in and breathe out. I can tell you the Zoom feels different after that writing. How do you all feel? You can put it in the chat, one word or something. I'd love to know. Anyone? Even if you're feeling like it won't matter, it does matter. Put it in the chat so I can know how you all are doing. We have to be honest with ourselves about what we truly value. When you don't, you are settling yourself, you're setting yourself up for disappointment because your expectations don't match the outcome. Yeah, thank you for that. That's really good insight. There's a lot hard to put into the chat. I realize I need a lot of conversations around me, conversations with others around me. Difficult. Yeah. This is a tricky spot. These are the edges of change, right? But this is the place of the world between who we want to be and who we actually are. It's that place I told you about where I want to do these big presentations and I sit down and I'm just like, oh, maybe I need to clean the kitchen or something. So here's the thing. Here's what I want you to remember, right? How to be with emotion. We talked about it being, for me, it was pivotal to understand as someone who sort of held it back in, either intentionally or unintentionally, and then it would leak out, that it is meant to flow. That is actually an expression of creativity, even. Like it allows creativity to flow through you. If you believe in that, a divinity to flow through you. That kind of rocked my world when I heard that first, but it's interesting, right? It's an interesting idea to ponder. And what happens in the place of where you are and where you are wanting to change to is, well, the nervous system is wired in a particular way. And this feeling of like hard or stuckness is you moving beyond those spots of set points. And so what you do is you nourish your nervous system, you feed yourself well, you move your body well, like you eat good food, like real good grounded food. You breathe, you take time in nature. These things expand your nervous system. These things are the foundation. You create community where you have support. You know these things. Like you can type in the chat if there are other things that come to you that give you foundational support, because it is from that foundation that you can move out into the world, that you can find the ability to change, to see where is it in these quiet moments of writing am I actually, and where do I want to be? So that the next time you show up for that hard conversation, it's not so hard because you were nourished, because you've gone within and you're like, okay, and it might not happen on the first time. It might happen on the 5th time, really. So it's owned and not something you memorized, that sends you spinning. It's something you are actually able to say and mean so that people can feel it. That comes from you shifting what we call the energetic, your nervous system, to knowing who you are and that what you say is needed, right? And that the wealth that you have is deserved, and that the wealth that you want is deserved, and that the life of ease is deserved. That changes only from within. It's like those lottery winners that get all the money and spend it all. They're not set yet to hold it. And that's where the going inward comes from. And so you always come back to you. You're able to stand in this and not get knocked off because you remember, oh, at the beginning, I am woman, I am wealth, I am worth. Your ideas of money all come from this too. When I was little, my set points for wealth were very small. And so I'm having to go back and unwind and reset those. And it's only then that I'm able to let a larger business come in. And it takes years. It's taken years of really resetting my nervous system, resetting my idea of self, going back in. And so that's what I want to share with you today. The importance of you in the deep part of your soul, you remembering that. Coming back to the 3 words you wrote, making sure you take time to write and connect and feed yourself well. That's you, right? The true you, the big you with the capital Y. So I want you to breathe all of that in. And breathe out anything that's not serving you, anything that's just fallen away. Breathe all of that in. Let it all go. And do one more. Breathe all of it in. And let it all go. Yeah. And then we have 1 minute to put in the chat what you are taking. What in my tradition, we call it what you're leaving here with, but it's like one point or some lesson that something you know about yourself that you didn't before this webinar. Just put it in the chat, whatever it is. I'd love to hear. Don't be afraid. Honesty with self. Yeah. Inward reflection. The disconnect between the external expectation and what I truly value, reconciling those. Yeah. I'd love to get 2 or 3 more before we close. Love your term, the edge of change, speaking to me. Thank you. Listen to yourself more often than you listen to others and be okay with being a bit more vulnerable. Thank you. Yeah. I need to be mindful that I look at time for myself as selfish and being mindful to not do that. Thank you. Yeah. And you will set the example for others to recognize within too. So everybody breathe. And I want you to always remember who you are and that you're important. Everyone around you is too. The truest version, and it's okay, right? So I want to thank you for being here, for giving me your attention, for trusting me through this journey. I am a coach, as April said. I coach the executive team at Momentum. I do one-on-one coaching, and it really is about these edges and remembering self. I have a women's wisdom coaching group that begins on April 17th that evening. I'd love for you to join. It's an 8-week course, and it goes deeply into Indigenous understanding of women so that women can remember how special they are, can celebrate the cycles of their life through menstruation, through having children, through becoming an elder, through menopause, through the importance of their connection with community and with self and purpose. Women are change makers wherever they are, and it's important to remember, right, all that we may have forgotten. I have a children's book called Duma Song. Some of you may have it. It speaks about the Indigenous importance of remembering your unique value, your innate value. It's also available, all of these things are available on my website, jennylewiscoaching.com. You can email me at jenny@jennylewiscoaching.com. If you have any questions or anything comes up for this, or if you're interested in any of the programs, I would love to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Wow, I really wasn't expecting that I was going to be so participatory in that. But I guess since you and I talked about this topic, it's kind of been on my mind. And that was really, really helpful. So thank you. And if you wouldn't mind advancing to the next slide, I just wanted to leave our group with a little reminder. We have at Momentum right now, our applications are open through April 30th for the executive program. And those are running both in Birmingham and in Huntsville. So only 30 spots are available in each of those cities. And it's just a fantastic experience. And Jenny makes it even all the more enriching with the coaching that she provides along with Sharon Lavoie. So with that, I'm going to close us out, and I am thanking all of you for being here and looking forward to hosting another webinar in May. I'm still working on nailing down the topic and the speaker and the date, but that will be pushed out on social media very soon. So make sure that you follow us. You can search for us at Momentum Leaders on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Those are the places you're going to find us the most often. And you can see past recordings of our webinars on our YouTube channel. Again, you can search at Momentum Leaders on YouTube and find our channel. And we've got most of these webinars that we've been doing recorded out there. So feel free to watch those or show them to your team. Have a beautiful, blessed day. And remember what you've discovered about yourself today as a woman and what you consider wealth to be and your worth. Thank you, Jenny, so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks for taking the time to invest in yourself by watching our webinar. This series is produced in partnership with Social U. Many thanks to our sponsor companies, including America's Thrift Stores, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama, Protective Life, and Regions Bank. A full list of Momentum sponsors is online at momentumleaders.org/sponsors. Beyond this webinar, we have a lot of ways for you to get more momentum in your life. Check out the show notes for additional links and resources.